Welcome, everyone. This is Ramona Baylor, your District Director of District 117, and I have the honor and pleasure of interviewing distinguished Toastmaster Peggy Beach. She is a past district governor and a current District 117 pioneer. Hey, Peggy, how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad to be here with you, Ramona.
Great, thank you. And we thank you for your service to not only Toastmasters but to District 117. And let's get started with our questions.
hmm
Peggy, can you tell us your why and why you joined Toastmasters?
Well, that's a very good question. I've been in Toastmasters since 1989, and that's a long time, 31 years. So people ask me that, and I sometimes have to think about it because I've been in Toastmasters so long and have done so many different things that I have to stop and remember why I joined. I basically joined to be in speech contest. I was captain of the debate team in college and wanted to compete in contest. I liked competing in speech contest. So Toastmasters afforded me that opportunity. I did that for the first 3 years that I was in Toastmasters. I was in table topics, contest, international speech, and I think I also did humorous speech as well. I never did the evaluation contest because I was always so intimidated by evaluations, and I still have issues with that. But that was the reason I joined, and then I eventually got into the leadership. And after being a district leader, official district leader in the trio, then I did have done a lot of other things for the district. So I've really evolved. And that's one of the best things about Toastmasters is that you can start out doing one thing and eventually come out and doing other things. So it's been a very positive experience for me.
Thank you, Peggy. And that's a lead in to my next question. Why would you recommend Toastmasters to someone?
Well, I have three reasons for that when people ask me about Toastmasters. The first one is that Toastmasters is a great place to practice your public speaking skills. If you don't practice your public speaking skills, you get rusty. Toastmasters is a cost-effective way of being involved, practicing your speaking skills, and it also affords you an opportunity to do many other things. The second reason is in Toastmasters is a good way to develop your leadership skills. A lot of people, particularly early in their career, may not be able to develop leadership skills. Toastmasters is a way to do that. I always encourage members, particularly after you've been a club officer or district officer, to include Toastmasters in your resume because it is a professional opportunity and your prospective bosses need to know that. The third reason I would urge people to join Toastmasters is because it's a great place to network. You get to meet a lot of great people. You get to learn a lot of new things, and it really gets you out there, particularly if you move to a new city. You get to meet new people. So networking is another reason I would encourage people to join Toastmasters.
Thank you, Peggy. You mentioned added to your resume and networking. How has Toastmasters assisted you with your personal and professional growth?
Mhm. Well, personally, Toastmasters has helped me an awful lot because I've met so many wonderful people through Toastmasters, not only in North Carolina, but outside of North Carolina by going to the Toastmasters International Convention and by writing for Toastmasters Magazine. I've just met so many wonderful people, and it's amazing. Our organization is full of people who are self-starters, entrepreneurs, are well educated, very motivated to succeed in life. And it's wonderful to be associated with such a great group of people. Professionally, it helped me in a lot of ways. I have become a writer for Toastmaster Magazine. I'm working on another article for them right now, and I got that through Toastmasters. Also, I've gotten several other writing assignments for my freelance writing career through my network connections in Toastmasters. I got my first job in state government in large part because I traveled all over the state of North Carolina as a district officer. And this was something that impressed my bosses because I knew where certain roads were. I knew where certain counties and certain towns were, and I knew certain restaurants. I knew a lot about the state of North Carolina because I had traveled so much for Toastmasters. So I know that's the reason I got my first job in state government. So it definitely has helped me both personally and professionally.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. That's really interesting to know some of your background. You mentioned you were on the trio. One, can you mention to the members of District 117 what is a trio? And then what 3 lessons did you learn while being a district leader?
That's a good question. I need to remember not to use jargon unless I explain it. The trio are the top 3 officers in a district. That's the district director, which is a position you hold now, a program quality director who handles our educational achievements and conferences, and the club growth director who helps to establish new clubs. So that's our top 3 officers. That's the trio. Also, the top 3 lessons I learned as a district leader, and these are also lessons that I've tried to continue even after I was a district leader. The first one is that you need to be in constant communication with your leadership team. Now, when I was a district leader, it was before the advent of websites. We did not have email, so we had to do everything by phone, fax, and snail mail. Which is a little strange. It makes me feel ancient, but such is life, I guess. I usually would call about 20 people a day, and I had a list. I would make a list of people that I would call. I would have their name and I would have their phone number on the list, because that way, if I had written down their phone number, I was more likely to be sure to make the phone call. Also, we used to get reimbursed for our postage and for our phone calls, because back then phone calls were more expensive. And so I would have postage. I would have envelopes ready with stamps on them to mail things out when I needed to. And also had a fax machine in my house to make sure I would fax items as well. So we had to be in constant contact. And it's a little bit easier to do that today with email, because you can email somebody a lot quicker than you can make a phone call. So you need to be in constant contact with leadership teams so you know what is going on in the district. It's very, very important. The second thing I would urge district leaders and even club officers is to be able to pick the right people for the right project and the right roles. When I was a program quality director, I began thinking about who I wanted as treasurer, who I wanted as a PR chair, who I wanted in various positions throughout the district. And I didn't start recruiting until it was appropriate for me to do so, but I had people in mind. And I had no hesitation. You have to ask people. Can't have any hesitation in asking somebody to do something. So you definitely want to pick the right people for the right projects. And the third one is something that I think all of us need to do, but I think particularly district leaders need to do it. And that's observe members. If a member shows an interest in something, encourage that interest. Now, if they're interested in youth leadership, encourage that. If they're interested in starting a new club or getting a DTM or speaking to Toastmasters at the Chamber of Commerce, if they're interested in something, encourage them in that, because all you really need, most people just really need a little bit of a nudge. And if they do one thing in Toastmasters, they're more likely to do other things as well. So it's always important to observe members and find out what their interests are and why they're in Toastmasters.
Thank you, Peggy. I really like that you mentioned, listen to the members, observe members. I recently received an email just yesterday about a member saying, I want to serve the district. I'm available. I have the bandwidth. Where do you need me? Plug me in, coach. And I was just like, wow. And so I'm just like, let me make some calls. Let me see where we need you, but we need you.
Yes, definitely.
I love that you said that. Observe the members, because it's so important, because they want to serve in different capacities. Yeah. How would you inspire others to start Pathways?
Well, as you may remember, I was chief ambassador for Pathways. So my role in that capacity was to get the district started and to encourage members to be enthusiastic about Pathways. The main thing I've always emphasized with Pathways has been that there is a lot of choice involved in Pathways. You can choose your path. You don't have to accept the path that's recommended for you by TI when you take the quiz. and I don't think you have to even take the quiz now, if I'm not mistaken, but you can choose what path you want. You can choose when to do the path. You can choose what projects to do in the path. So you have an awful lot of choice. You also can tailor your pathways path and your projects to your career, which was harder to do in the legacy program. So you can actually do a lot of tailoring of your own education program through pathways. And I think that's extremely beneficial because we have so many people who join Toastmasters because of their careers. You know, their boss asked them to join, or they need to improve speaking skills. And this really helps people to be able to tailor their education program to what their needs are. And also a lot of the great projects, the elective projects, for example, starting a podcast, doing a Q&A session, all kinds of things that you can do, social speeches, all different types of things you can do. There are a lot of different projects and you have a lot of choice. So I think the way to inspire people about pathways is to emphasize the choice that people have, that they can really make a decision about how to tailor it for their own needs.
Thank you, Peggy. And I agree wholeheartedly that Pathways has so much to offer and it is a personal choice. Thank you. As far as Toastmasters International values, integrity, respect, service, and excellence, which value resonates with Peggy Beach?
Well, I think the value that resonates most with me is respect. I think it's important to respect others. We all have different backgrounds, we're different ages, different experiences, and we all can learn from one another. I know that one of the things that I do, for example, is since I'm not African American, I like to read Ebony magazine on occasion. I'm not a parent, so I read Parents magazine. I find that I learn a lot from experiences from people who have different experiences, who are from different cultures than I am. So I think it's really important to respect others and to show that respect by trying to learn as much as you can from them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that about respect. How excited are you to be a pioneer for the new District 117?
Oh, I am terribly excited. I loved being in District 37, and I love the fact that the whole district at that time was comprised of the whole state of North Carolina. I like that. But it was very difficult to govern, particularly as we got more clubs. When I was district governor in 1995, 1996, I know that dates me, but we had 100, I think at the end of that year, we had 112 clubs. When we ended in 2020, when the district was split at the end of 2020, we had like 227 or something like that. So in that 25-year time span, we actually more than doubled our growth, which is an indication of the great job that so many of our district leaders and many of our members really committed to getting that done. And so that really showed that. But North Carolina is a big state. If you travel, say, if you drove your car from Manteo at the very eastern part of the state all the way to Murphy at the western part of the state, it would take you 16 hours without stopping. And that means the governor of North Carolina has to take a helicopter or an airplane when he travels in various parts of the state. Most of the western part of the state from Winston-Salem west is closer to 4 other state capitals than it is to Raleigh. So when I was in state government, one of the things that we had to do is we had to constantly remind the people of Western North Carolina that we were thinking about them, because we got a lot of complaints like, you don't think about us in Raleigh. So we're a big state. A lot of people who are outside of North Carolina don't realize that. So I think that what this is going to do with splitting between Western and Eastern North Carolina is going to afford us the opportunity to develop Toastmasters clubs and get members in areas where we haven't had them. When we had clubs we have 100 counties in North Carolina, and I think we had clubs in about 50 or 51 counties. So there's almost half of the counties in the state don't have a Toastmasters club because our clubs are concentrated in the large population areas. So hopefully by splitting, we're going to be able to include some more counties and more towns as Toastmasters. So that's my spiel on that. So I'm definitely excited about being a pioneer in District 117. There's a lot of opportunity for growth here, for clubs and for members, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it.
Thank you, Peggy. And we look forward to working with you, collaborating with you, and being on a team. So there's definitely opportunities. I'm talking to the 2,000 plus members. Reach out to our pioneers. Go to our website and see who those pioneers are that are bringing in that experience and that knowledge into this new district. And
Mhm.
Peggy, now my final question of the day.
Okay.
I'm just going to look at it because it's a little lengthy. What can you share with the trailblazers of District 117 on pursuing excellence during COVID-19 and the importance of member engagement?
Well, I think that's a great question. A lot of different ways to answer that question. My first thought is I always encourage people to always be curious, to be willing to learn new things, and that's how you pursue excellence. You can't rest on your laurels. You have to continue to do things. For example, right now there are a lot of free webinars on the internet for people to learn. You know, if you're stuck at home or more than you want to be, you can take a lot of webinars on. There's genealogy and history and public speaking, Toastmasters, just about anything you can take webinars on. And I encourage people to do that. One of the best ways to stay engaged during COVID-19 is to continue learning. I'm taking an online class on social media. I also went on Google Analytics. So I'm trying to keep my skills updated because there are just so many new things to learn out there. So I think the best thing to think about is to always stay curious. Always be willing to learn, and since COVID-19 has changed the way we do things, it's important to look at it and say, well, this is definitely a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. So what can I do to learn and grow and be a better person during this time? And the more you do that, the more you're going to be able to engage your members into doing other things as well. So it's important to keep that curiosity going.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you so much for sharing not only a little bit about yourself, but your insights and obviously your wealth of knowledge. District 117 thanks you so much. And thank you for sharing this time with me. We look forward to a year of excellence. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.